Hey guys, this is a production of the J&J Media, brought to you by Minute Peach Framing Designs and Gift Shops. What's up, guys? Welcome to the 10th episode of the J&J Sports Talk. I'm your host, Jordan Dorosic, followed by my co-hosts, Christian and Thomas Kohick. We had a eventful week of football, I would say. So, how are we feeling today, guys?
Uh, I don't know if we're ready for this with the way Dallas played the other day, but go ahead, lay it on us there, Jay.
Yeah, y'all Steelers didn't do so well either, so I'm going to enjoy this up.
They played better than what they usually. They actually scored points on offense this week, so we're moving in the right direction.
I don't think I asked who was talking here. These goddamn Cowboys won the game. The Steelers, they always losing. So this is my show. We're starting off my show the way I want to show it. All right, so we'll start off with the Cowboys. Um, a question I have for y'all is, how does it feel to be so wrong about the Vikings game? Clashin predicted that the Vikings were going to win 30-3. Shady said the Vikings were going to win 27-17. And it was completely lopsided with the Cowboys winning 40-3. So, give me y'all's thoughts about that.
My thoughts are, I don't know. I guess good win by the Cowboys. I didn't watch the game because we had better teams playing in the afternoon where I was local, so didn't have a chance to watch that. But I heard y'all got transferred to the better game of the day also.
Yeah, well, for the main people, I'm pretty sure it was like most of the broadcasts, they switched it to the Steelers game. From what I was hearing, they said on the broadcast, they're like, okay, well, let's switch to a more competitive game, and they went to the Steelers and Bengals game. So a lot of upset Cowboys fans did not like that.
I mean, the Steelers fans didn't like that either because as soon as all them Cowboy fans came over, the Steelers started losing.
Good, because the Steelers suck.
They would beat the Cowboys head to head any day.
No, they wouldn't. You could woulda, coulda, shoulda all season long, but their record says what they are. They're 3-7.
Well,
No
you have
chance at a
lost to
playoffs
a 3
anymore.
and 7 team before, so it's not possible.
Well, I did say at the beginning of the year, early in the season, that this was a transition year for Pittsburgh. It's not a complete rebuild, but it's a transition year. They're kind of in that bridge between the Roethlisberger era and kind of finding that quarterback of the future. And so it's a transition period for the Steelers. I knew it was going to be a rough season for them. As far as the Vikings, okay, here's my thoughts on that. I give credit where credit's due. Okay, hats off to Dallas. I applaud them. They showed up. They played. They were ready to. They were ready to play. Played a heck of a game. Congratulations. Hats off to Dallas. Give credit where credit is due. The Vikings, obviously, they just didn't wake up on Sunday morning. Every if you, I mean, you're everybody's fans like we are. Every team eventually has a game like that. I mean, the week before, the Vikings played a really, really competitive game up in Buffalo and had that wild overtime thriller. Call it a hangover, call it whatever you want. They just came out, they were completely flat, they got completely steamrolled. It happens, it's one of those things, they just had that game at the wrong time, but so it you know it you know you get you get the you're not eating a crow this week. You get to it, you're enjoying a good victory. I'll say that.
A short
So is it
victory. Yeah,
no,
short
no,
week.
no, no? Okay, okay, yes. We're going. Yeah, it is a short week because we have the Thanksgiving game coming in 2 more days. But you're making excuses for why the Vikings are playing so bad versus like not crediting the Cowboys for playing so good. Because maybe just the Cowboys were just that good and not and the Vikings just got shut down.
Yeah, there is that chance where the Cowboys brought their best game and the Vikings brought their best game and the Cowboys just destroyed them. But Nobody will know.
Is that what?
Except
No,
for
is
them.
that's what we're here for, and being opinionated. So, what is y'all? Do you all think it's really just because is a mixture of, or it's just the main reason is because the Vikings did
Uh,
not show up?
I didn't like. I can't like. I can be biased all I want and hate the Cowboys. I didn't watch the game, but I remember messaging you during the game, and I was like, I showed a screenshot of them. They had like, I think it was like 27 rushes to like 14 Dak passes. I was like, that's why they're winning. They're running the ball more than pass.
Yeah, I mean, and even when we did pass him, it was still successful because
That's
you
because
want to
your
be.
run game is so good.
Yeah, and that what I think both running backs. People should say, "Well, Tony Pollard should start over Zeke. Zeke should be sitting or whatever." Both running backs complement each other so well because they they fix what they're missing on their weaknesses. So Zeke, he's a power runner. He's a downhill runner. He can go smack somebody in the mouth. Pollard, he got the speed. He got the jukeness, elusiveness out on the field. Pollard doesn't have the pass blocking. Zeke has pass blocking. Pollard doesn't have the goal line power to get down into the end zone. Zeke does have that. So they complement each other so well. They're always picking off what they're missing. And that's what makes them so great of having a two-back duo. And also, let me add, Zeke also struggles in the backfield trying to catch passes versus Pollard. He is just as good as a receiver catching the ball in the backfield. So it's just a perfect combo of both running backs out there.
I would agree with that. In the NFL, in today's NFL, you have to have that. I mean, if you look at the better teams who can run the ball, you have exactly what you have. You have your power back, and you have your slasher that can come in and complement each other well. So you couldn't be any more right on that. I agree with you 100%. As far as that game, I mean, let's just face it. The Little Sisters of the Poor could have gone out there and beat the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday. They just didn't
No,
show
no,
up.
no. You're just making excuses now. That's just a
I'm,
very biased answer. You're gonna tell
I'm
me
not.
the Cowboys did not show up, or the Vikings did not show up. They scored a field goal on the very first drive, so they
They were
clearly had
they were
something.
they were completely. And now, I mean, I like I said, I think that Dallas did come with their best game. They came with their A game. Minnesota did not. If the same Minnesota team showed up on Sunday that showed up the previous week against Buffalo, it's a different score. I don't know if I
Oh,
don't know if they necessarily win because Dallas did bring their A game, but it wouldn't have been as lopsided as it was. I mean, every team kind of has that game in a 17 in a 17 week season. I mean that you I mean look at I mean, look at a team like the Saints. I mean, they're a halfway decent team, but they lost to Houston. I mean,
And the
Houston
Steelers.
is 1-7.
yeah, but I feel like we're not complimenting Dallas as well as they played against a 8-1 Vikings team. So, like what you just
You
brought up earlier, you said, okay, if the Vikings would have brought their A game, it would have been a different score. You don't know if the Vikings still would have won, but that's what we base our picks off. If they're both playing their A game, and y'all both picked them to get destroyed by the Vikings to destroy the Cowboys, and it's just that's why it's like when the score came out the way it was, it's like, oh, that's a smack in the mouth to y'all because y'all need to give them some respect out there because
hey,
they
you
earned
said
it.
it.
I am giving
You
respect.
said
I'm
it.
I'm giving respect.
30-3 ain't no respect clashing.
Hey, but you said it though. You said when we did our picks, we both planned on both teams bringing their A game, and maybe the Vikings didn't bring their A game. That's why the picks were bad.
So you're telling me if they both bought their A game and both thing, it was going to be 30-3.
Hey, look at Sportsbook. They had it where it was like a point and a half. So
Yes, exactly. The
it was
sports
supposed to be a
book,
close game.
the sports book even had the Cowboys as the favorites, and they said I heard this on the broadcast right before the game. They said an 8-1 team being an underdog, an underdog since 1986. That's happened. So Well, I mean, that just shows the Cowboys are. I think they're clearly the better team in the NFC completely because we're watching the downfall of the Eagles currently. They barely scratched by the Colts this past week.
No, but the Colts are a good team. They have the best O line. They have a good running back. They have an old quarterback, so we'll give them that. And they have good receiver. They have a really good defense. Someone talks about that. The Colts are a good team. The Eagles winning that, like I didn't. Most people wouldn't have thought the Eagles would win that game. The Colts are playing really good right now, and you'll see here in about 2 weeks.
The Colts are playing inspired. The Colts are playing inspired.
Yeah, and they'll be inspired until we go smack them in the mouth, and then they'll be respected again. This Cowboy slander that I keep hearing is just off the charts. I just want them to get their respects because they're playing out there like they're the best team in the NFL, not the NFC, the NFL.
They
I
are
don't
not
think
the best team in the NFL.
okay, if they aren't the best team, how come they are the first team out of the season to have a first complete game on all three phases of the game? How come the Chiefs ain't doing it? How come the Eagles ain't doing it? How come the Bills ain't doing it? How come the Vikings ain't doing this?
Do you remember watching the Bills versus Steelers game where the Bills just had like 400 passing yards in the first half? I thought that was a pretty complete game by them.
No. I'm saying a complete game from all three phases. I'm saying a team could have had a better offensive game. A team could have had a better defensive game. A team could have had a better special teams game. But to have all three phases combined, to have that type of game, nobody has had a complete game like that this season. But the Cowboys did. They were the first team to have a game like that.
All right, so you're saying the Bills haven't had a complete game and the Chiefs haven't had a complete game, but yet they're still destroying everyone they play. So isn't that a little scary? If they do have a complete game, they're destroying everyone.
Oh, so they completely destroyed the Chargers this past weekend.
That's the Chiefs. I mean, yeah, I mean they're
what?
Winning.
They barely snuck by. They barely snuck by the Chargers this past weekend.
Yeah, but the Bills are destroying people.
They lost to the Vikings. And
so everyone has their off game. Like the Vikings lost to the Cowboys.
Oh my god. Okay, so every loss that the Bills have is just it's an off game. It's an off game.
Basically, like if anyone that loses to the Cowboys just had an off game, it's common sense.
No, it's not. No, that's just your biased opinion.
I'm gonna be biased.
No, I want your unbiased opinion here. That's this part of the Cowboy slander that we come here, and I want your biased.
All right. I will tell you the truth of what I think about the Cowboys. I think they're a good team. They have one of the best running duo in all of the NFL. It's just the Cowboys their coordinator usually doesn't do that. They pass the ball 40 times and maybe run the ball 10 times.
Well, maybe they changed it. Maybe this whole style of play, what I've been talking about since the first game of the season, since they had like Zeke rushing for like 5 yards a carry, and then I was wondering, I was like, this is going to be the same Cowboys team from the first game versus the Bucs, that we're just going to keep passing the ball when we shouldn't, when we should keep running the ball. But then we turned it around. When Cooper Rush was quarterback, we started running the ball, pounding the ball, and I don't even know when the last time Dak threw over 40 passes this season, or Cooper Rush. It's not coming. I think we have our game. We have our game plan, and even if we do need to stick back to Dak, he could still go out there and sling the ball.
Oh, he'll sling the ball to the other team.
No, he won't. That's just that's another Dak slander. I'm Dak. I just sent y'all right before we started the show. Since the beginning of 2020, Dak is the highest team points per game by starting quarterback since 2020. Minimum 20 starts. Dak is on top of the board with 31.4 points. Josh Allen second with 29.4. Patrick Mahomes is 29.3. So even with your teams that are crushing all these other teams, Dak Prescott is still outperforming the greats of Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes out here.
With less games, so it boosts his stats.
You're really gonna throw that in there?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at who's he. Let's look at the defenses that Dak has played since he's come back. Okay. Like I said, the Vikings, that game is an anomaly. If they both bring their A games, I'm still saying 27-17. I'm sticking by that. Now, however, we'll get to this week's Giants game and the respect of Dallas here in just a second. But let's look at the defenses that that Dak has had since he's come back. Green Bay, piss poor defense. Chicago, even worse defense. Detroit, the worst defense in the league. So he hasn't even had a fair test. Now this week against the Giants, he'll actually have a good solid defense that he's going to go up against. And on Thanksgiving, if Dallas goes out and beats the Giants, because this is a huge game for both teams, huge game for both teams. If Dallas goes out and gets a win this week, I will be glad to give them the respect that you say that they deserve. If they go out and win this week against the Giants on Thanksgiving.
Oh, I
But-
thought you were gonna make a bet.
Oh,
I'll
really?
make a
Anyway.
bet right now. I'd bet $200 that the Cowboys are going to win this weekend or this Thanksgiving.
I don't make that kind of money. Come on now. I'm
Okay,
a broke fool.
Clashin, you want to make a bet? Oh, you're so
We've already made our bet for this week.
okay. Well, tell them what the
We've
bet
already
is.
made
Tell
our
them
bet.
tell them what our bet is for
Like
this
that
week.
Alright, so
DoorDash or
my-
something.
My bet was the Giants have to win and Saquon Barkley has to get over 100 rushing yards. And what was it? J-Wall has to wear, or Jordan has to wear a Saquon Barkley. Was it a Saquon Barkley jersey? No, it was a Daniel Jones jersey.
Daniel
to
Jones
Vegas
jersey.
next year.
Yes, and
Yeah.
and the loser. Okay, yeah. So Clashin, there's not one or the other. It has to be both at the same time. If
Yeah,
one
it needs to be a
lands,
Giants win and 100 rushing yards.
yeah.
I forget what yours was. Yours was
the
like
same-
under
it's the opposite.
99 and a half
Yeah,
and the
so
Cowboy. But what jersey did I have to wear? A
you
Dak
would
or
have to wear a
something?
Dak Prescott jersey, and the loser has to make a video with that jersey on, saying they're the best
Oh,
quarterback in the
okay.
NFL.
Oh, we have to make it a video?
Yeah, we did say it was going to be a video.
I'll have to look
In
back
Vegas.
at the contract here.
No,
I thought I
it's
just
on the
had to
contract.
say
But
it,
I'll
not
make
like have to
another
make a
bet
video.
on. I'll make another bet on the contract that Cowboy. I'll bet $200 that the Cowboys are going to win.
But this week, I ain't throwing any money.
Oh, why? Why? I thought
I
weren't the
don't
Giants the
make
number
that
2
kind of
team in
money
the
if you
NFC
just throwing-
a couple weeks ago?
No, I'm not. You're not getting money from me. You can
Exactly.
jersey
Oh,
from
big
me, but
why?
You're not getting money.
Do you have doubts that the Cowboys are actually good and you just don't want to admit it?
Oh, it versus the Giants. I mean, if
Oh,
Saquon
why are
Barkley
we
could
saying
die
that?
in the first quarter.
Why are we just saying now it's just the Giants? Okay, but when the Giants, this is the double standard that all these Cowboys slander that they're always getting. The Cowboys win. Okay, this is what they'll say. Well, they're supposed to win. You know, it's the Giants. But if the Giants win, oh my God, the Cowboys the fucking Giants were just out there. They outplayed the Cowboys. They're a way better team. And it's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you're the Cowboys, there needs to be
I'm
a
just
line
saying-
set to where the Cowboys are a great team,
All right.
and there's
so
no
we'll do it. You say.
excuses for a
So,
win.
If the Giants lose, like let's say Barkley somehow gets hurt in the first quarter, he didn't actually beat the Giants because their best player was hurt. That was what you said when the Cowboys lost to the Eagles. Well, we didn't have Dak.
Exactly,
Like it
we
would.
did have
If
Dak.
Saquon gets hurt, I mean, you didn't really beat the Giants. You beat Daniel Jones.
Of course, I mean that's how it would go. But if we're gonna go with Saquon being the rock in the heart of the team, you also got to focus on Daniel Jones as well, because you got to have somebody that throws the ball out there too.
No, that's Saquon's job also.
No, it's not his job. It's Daniel Jones' job. And with this, go back on what Shady said, saying how Dak hasn't played a defense. That everybody plays the Cowboys harder. It's almost a true test to almost every team, because they know everybody's watching when you're playing in the Cowboys. So it's.
I mean,
I
look
don't-
at
I
week
don't-
one. I mean, Dak didn't really do much week one.
Yeah, he broke his thumb.
That was in the fourth quarter late.
No, it was early fourth quarter, and that's when Cooper Rush
It
came
was
in.
still fourth quarter. It was still fourth quarter.
Okay, yes, but they should have kept running the ball. They ran the ball
They should've.
exceptionally well that game.
They were just down by so much where they kind of had to pass a little bit.
Not really. There's teams that
Wasn't it
can
like
still run the
17-3
ball.
or something?
Yeah, they could
Two
still
possession
run.
game. Risky.
All right, so I don't know if we're gonna continue with this Cowboys.
We're gonna get
Okay, all right.
off the Cowboys.
No. Okay, we'll go back in the Cowboys after we finish this Eagles versus Colts section. So the Eagles snuck by the Colts 17-16, and yeah, they were trailing literally the whole game until the very last minute. They scored a touchdown, and it got them ahead by 1 point. And of course, the Colts had to rely on Matt Ryan to actually pull something out the bag. The Colts had about three to four drives to actually finish off the game, but they could never capitalize on any of the drives, or it would just end up at a field goal. And I feel bad for my buddy Flash9. He's a Colts fan, but I was really rooting for the Colts because that would have helped the Cowboys in the division hunt. It's all right. I mean, I see good signs that the Eagles are on their downfall and actually showing that they are overrated. But the question is, are they overrated? What do y'all think?
That is the question. Are the Eagles overrated, or are the Colts just a better team right now? I guess we don't know. The Colts, they're just motivated right now.
Eagles are frauds. They are complete fraud. Even McLevin will tell you that he thinks his team isn't all that right now.
Yeah, but McLevin doesn't do that. He'll just say his team is going to lose the Super Bowl, so when they do win the Super Bowl, or they do lose, he'll say he called it. So
no, he is very unbiased about his team, so he knows if his team is being fraudulent out there.
Well, the Colts, like I said, the Colts are playing inspired because they got with Saturday being the coach, they're playing inspired. They have a solid defense, a really solid defense. And I think it's at that point of the season. I mean, look at where we're at. We're at week 11, week 12. We're at that stage in the season. We're in November, where the season it kind of starting to drag on a little bit for these guys. The guys are getting beat up, wear and tear on these guys a little bit. This is part of the season that that good teams kind of falter a little bit, and maybe the Commanders kind of exposed them a little bit as far as how to beat the Eagles. Maybe we'll time will tell to see if this is just if they're in a kind of a little bit of a rut, or if they're taking if they're taking a nosedive. We'll see. But the Colts are playing inspired, and they do have a good team. If the Colts had a good quarterback, they would be even better. I mean, they do have a solid defense. That was heartbreaking for the Colts to lose in that last 30 seconds or whatever it was. I was flipping back and forth between that game and the Steelers game. And when there was like a minute to go or something like that, it was like just over a minute to go in the game, and I figured, okay, well, finally, the Colts got them figured out. The Colts got them, and then all of a sudden, I saw the clicker come up and saw that Philly got that last touchdown or whatever at the end. And I mean, it was because it was a touchdown because it was 16-10, and they got that touchdown. So it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking, to say the least. But the Colts are a good team.
But when the Cowboys go out to beat them, it's going to be they should have won. They should have won the game.
We'll go back to the Colts being a bad team.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go there later because me and Clash plan on going to that game. But are the Eagles overrated, Shady?
No.
So you still think? Overrated? Yeah. You still think they're the 9-1 team that they are out there? What the record says. After the last 2 weeks, they've struggled to Washington and the Colts.
I would say that the Eagles are overrated as far as everything, as far as the hype that they're getting. So I don't think they're as good as what people are saying. So yeah, I think that they're a bit overrated. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna have to go ahead and jump off. I got a race here in the next few minutes, but yeah, I think the Eagles are overrated at this point, but we'll see in the next couple of weeks. As far as my Thanksgiving picks, it's gonna be Detroit winning the first game. It's gonna be Giants winning the second game, and it's gonna be the Vikings winning the third game over the Patriots. So those are my picks. The Minute Peach picks for this week. And we have to get we'll be back on time next week hopefully, and I'll have all the time we'll be able to set. And I said, and I promise, if Dallas wins this week against the Giants, because it's a huge game for both teams, huge game. If they win against the Giants this week, I will give them the respect that it's due. I promise you that.
And even if it's a win by a field goal, I still want to see that same energy next week. That they get their respects.
I will.
Oh, if they
I
only win
absolutely
3-0, then no.
will.
Speaking of 3-3,
If they win, if they come away with the W, I will give them that respect, and I promise you that. I stand by my word.
all right, I have that clipped, and I'll make sure everybody will see what you just said, and we'll come back next week.
Sounds great, brother. You guys have a great night. I'll see you next week.
Yep, you as well.
See ya.
All right, Clashing. I'm stuck with you now. So
My turn. I think the Eagles are overrated in terms of like winning the Super Bowl, but I don't think they're overrated in terms of their record. They do have the easiest schedule, so it's like it's no surprise they're 8-2 or 9-1, whatever they are. So like, I think their record is fair. They're not overrated in that way.
but when we compare teams versus how similar teams that the Cowboys have faced versus the Eagles have faced, the same teams, the Cowboys win by a bigger margin. You know, why is it so?
What do you mean by the Cowboys win by a bigger margin?
Like they're facing. Oh, okay. So go back to when the Eagles faced the Vikings. Let me bring up my stats real quick.
Oh, you're going by how much they actually win by. Like,
I know, but
Eagles
having
only won by
a
14,
more
the Dallas won by 40.
having like a more dominant game.
I mean, yeah, in a way. Like, if we're going in a perfect world where everyone brings their A game every single time, yeah, I guess that matters. But in a way, like, you got to factor in, I guess, weather. Matchup is key. I mean, I don't.
Whoa! Why
I
are we
really
bringing
don't
weather
know.
in the factor? If it's cold
Because
outside, that's good football. You said that.
yeah, but let's say you're playing in Chicago and you got 40-mile-an-hour wind and you can't pass the ball. All you do is run and the score is like maybe 7-3 final. But then the next day it's calm and then now it's a 41-14 game.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you could factor it in, but
If everything's
if I
controlled
remember
environment like the Vikings game indoor, then yeah, I guess it works out.
but the Eagles played the Vikings at home, at the Eagles' home. They won 24-7. Cowboys went to the Vikings' home in Minnesota and beat them 40-3.
I mean,
Lions.
they both bullied them. They just wasn't a high enough score.
You're telling me 24 points is a bully?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you outscored
That's
them
just
by
a
3
good
possessions.
game. That's just a good game. That's not a bully.
Yeah. I mean, they only allowed them to score what? They scored 7 on them, and they scored 3 on you. So like, really 4-point difference. Both have good defenses, I guess, versus Vikings.
4-point difference. No. That is a 24 minus 7.
No, I'm talking about
17-point
defense. How many
difference
points
versus
the defense?
Yeah, the Cowboys allowed less points and scored more points on the offensive side in the Minnesota. So,
I don't know what to tell you.
Are you gonna have to tell me something?
All right, so I mean, let's bring the Steelers. The Steelers beat the Bucks. Cowboys couldn't beat the Bucks. Oh, so what's that saying? Are Steelers better than the Cowboys because?
And how have the Bucks done since then?
I think they're. I mean, they're in the lead.
Would they start off 2-0 the first 2 games? Looked like they were going to do good. And they 3-5 since then.
Yeah, and then they did really bad. They lost to the Jets and then the Steelers the next week. But they're winning now. I think they had a bye week last week, so.
All right, well, let's go into our other question where I wanted to combine the Cowboys and the Eagles. Eagles or Cowboys for NFC number 1, or unless you have somebody else as the NFC number 1.
Who made these questions? This is all
I
Cowboys
made the goddamn question. It's my show.
What was the question?
Eagles or Cowboys for number 1 in the NFC?
Eagles or Cowboys? Uh,
or any other team if you have any.
like
Explain
current,
why.
like, all right. So the number one team in the NFC right now. All right. So first, I'll answer between Eagles and Cowboys. Right now, today, I know the Eagles did beat the Cowboys head to head, but I do think the Cowboys are a better team than the Eagles. But in terms of the NFC, let me look. I like the Niners. Let me look here.
Do you really think the Niners are the best team in the NFC?
I do. The Niners, they have a really good coach. Their defense is good. I mean, they're 6-4. Like no one's even talking about them. Like no one's talking about the Niners, like whatsoever.
Because the Redskins almost have the same record as them. And the Redskins are fourth in the NFC East. Fourth,
Yeah,
dead last.
but
And you're
I
telling me
like the Niners.
a 6-4 NFC West team is the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, because they got Christian McCaffrey literally like 2-3 weeks ago with the bye week or whatever. The 49ers are a dangerous team, in my opinion. I mean,
I
it's only
disagree.
between the Niners, Cowboys, and Eagles. There's no one else. Maybe the Vikings, but there's not that
You're
many
gonna bring the
teams in the
Vikings in
NFC.
this. In this.
Yeah, you never know.
No,
The
as of
Vikings
now,
could travel to Dallas.
as of 10 or 11 games through this season, what have you seen from now? Not 2 weeks later or 2 weeks previous. What have you seen from a team that is really going to think this team's coming out of the NFC to go to the Super Bowl?
All right, so let's look at the Niners. The Niners destroyed the Cardinals last night.
A weak ass Cardinals team.
So
So the NFC West is pretty much sorry right now.
what do you mean? You got the Seahawks. 49. No, I like the 49ers.
Over the
I know people will
Seahawks.
agree with me. Yes, I like the 49ers over almost everyone except for the Cowboys and maybe the Vikings. I think the 49ers can win any game in the NFC.
But you said besides the Vikings and the Cowboys. So
Yeah, I'm saying
so
those,
the Cowboys
those would be
have,
their tough games.
okay,
Those would be the tough games.
tough games, but who do you see winning those games?
The 49ers.
Oh, God.
I've already told you that when we chatted yesterday. You're like, how far do you think the Cowboys are going to make it in the playoffs? And then I was like, well, if they play this team or this team, I think they lose. But then you were like, you can't add that. But 49ers are a team that I think are going to go all the way to the NFC Championship game.
Okay, that's your prediction. NFC Championship game. And you also predicted, I'll add for the fans that listen, that the Cowboys were wild card eliminating. Getting eliminated in the wild card.
Because as of right now, like I see them playing the 49ers or the Bucks first. I'm banking on them playing those two teams.
You don't see them winning the division, maybe skipping the first round?
The only way I do see a path for them to make it to the NFC Championship game. Like if they play the Eagles or the Giants first, and then maybe like the Seahawks, I do see a path. But if they play the Niners or the Bucks first, like based off the matchups, I just think they get eliminated very early. That's just my thoughts, my opinion.
Yeah, that is your opinion. But my opinion is unbiased, of course. We're here to be unbiased.
Let me guess.
Yeah.
Buy the Super Bowl tickets now.
Buy the Super Bowl tickets now to Arizona. We're gonna be so fly in what's the Arizona stadium name? It's not SoFi, but it's not SoFi. We're not gonna be so fly in SoFi, but we're gonna be flying high in Arizona, and that's. Get your tickets now. What was the cheapest ticket that you saw?
It was like $4,000 for
$4,000,
I believe.
All right, I just need to hit one parlay and I'll be there. Are you coming with?
Like I said, yeah, you buy the ticket for me, yeah.
Well, you have to cash out me some money. It's gonna be a little bit.
Yeah, it was $4,700 for nosebleed.
That's a pretty expensive ticket. But
yeah, maybe someday we'll go to the Super Bowl. Maybe if the teams are right, maybe.
All right, so I got the Cowboys number one in NFC. I think they're number one in the NFL with how they played. If you can go with any team playing their best A game,
if they play like that every single week, then yeah, you have an argument. They could be the number one team in the NFL. But like, how often does every How often do you play perfect every single week? Like that's pretty
And
hard to do.
that's not even us at 100%. We're getting our left tackle back, which moving our rookie left tackle currently back to where left guard, where he originally played and got drafted out of, and we got James Washington coming back. I don't know if he's ever going to come back, but if he doesn't, if we win this game, we may get Odell. He had talks with the Giants and the Cowboys saying, I'm speaking with these two teams after the Thanksgiving game, and guess who's playing on Thanksgiving? The Cowboys and the Giants. It's basically a game to win. OBJ. They're both
That's
7-3.
the thing I tried to factor in. Like, if the Cowboys do get Odell and like Dak and Odell, like they mesh and they use Odell properly, like Cowboys could be pretty dangerous. Like they could be.
Yeah, you're gonna have our 3 tight end set. You got 2 running backs that are great. They both fit well so well. Like they fit their weaknesses, and they have major strengths. Then you got, if we get Odell, then you got CeeDee Lamb, then you got Michael Gallup, Noah Brown. I mean, that team could be stupidly dangerous. If we're already the number 1 offense last year and proving ourselves to be a great offense this year, what's stopping us from just ramming through these teams like how we did versus Vikings? There's no excuse.
What's
If we
stopping
could,
you? Probably your offensive coordinator.
no, if our offensive coordinator, that game film that versus
he's
the
gonna see a
Vikings.
new toy.
No,
He's gonna see a new toy, and he's like, "That's past the ball."
No. That game film that we saw versus the Vikings should be in the Hall of Fame. That was the perfect game executed by a team. And that's what every team should follow by for the rest of the season, how to play the game of football right. So,
I mean, I'm into conspiracies, but maybe like this obviously like this doesn't happen because every team wants to win. But what if the Vikings just didn't try on purpose? It's like let the Cowboys show us everything you're gonna do. So that way maybe we play you in, playoffs. We seen what you're doing, but you're not gonna have an idea what we're gonna do against you.
no,
I'm not saying that's like what happened, but like 1% chance.
we don't bring conspiracy theories up in here, so it didn't happen. That's
People would be getting fired
crazy.
if that happened.
Yeah, that would be a blasphemous take right there. All right, we'll move off of the Cowboys and the Eagles and move into the AFC side of things versus the Bengals versus the Steelers. The Bengals came home with the win 37-30. I think it was 37-30. And yeah, Steelers lose again. So what's new? Tell us about it, Clashing.
Yeah, so it was a good game. The only thing I could take, like, our defense played fucking trash. Like, I think if our defense actually shows up, but obviously we have TJ back, but I don't think he's 100%, which doesn't matter. Just his presence alone, like, takes a double team. But our offense actually moved the ball. Penny didn't throw any interceptions. We ran the ball good. I don't know who's calling the play. It's probably Mike Tomlin or Big Ben, but it definitely wasn't fucking the Canada guy. But yeah, but I don't think we're making the Super Bowl anymore. I think our playoff shots are pretty much dead. We're gonna need a lot of help.
I can't remember if it was you or Shady that you picked. One of y'all picked that I asked the question if the Steelers will come back to over 500 again, get to 9-8 at best.
No.
I think you said no.
No, at the beginning of the season, I think I said like they would be lucky to win 7 games, but then I boosted it up to 9 because we beat the Bengals like week 1. I was like, yeah, we're good this year, and then it went downhill from there. But now there's no way we get to above 500. It's very unlikely.
You know how lucky you got out of that Bengals game in week 1?
I know so many missed field goals. I mean, the backup like long snapper just flinging them everywhere to help us block kicks. Yeah, we got so lucky.
Yeah,
it was an entertaining game though.
But there is a streak going on. Every time the Cowboys win, the Steelers lose. Every time the Steelers win, the Cowboys lose. So I know y'all had to figure it out a little too early when then they had to switch the game over from the Cowboys to the Steelers game because they basically called it right there. They're like, all right, guys, this is a mass murder right here.
The Steelers still have to play the Ravens twice, and the Ravens are 7-2. So like, I know we always play the Ravens really tough, but I don't think this team is going to last long versus the Ravens.
Well,
So that's 2 more losses right there.
that was T.J. Watt's first game back. So how did he do? I know he had, I think it was half a sack in the game.
No, his first game back was against the Saints, which he was
okay.
he was restricted. But this week he played the full game, which you can tell he's not 100% because he's not really pass rushing. He's mainly just like staying on the line of scrimmage to jump up and swat. He does have that cast on.
And get interceptions. He had an
Yeah, that's what
interception,
he's
right?
trying to do. Yeah, interception against the Bengals.
Yeah.
He did have a tip that game. I don't know if I don't even see the point of him being out there because it doesn't look like he's really trying. So let's not risk him because he just got paid all that money. He's obviously our best player. We should just pull him. The season's done. Get him out of there.
So if you know how quarterbacks get all this money and then they put all the blame on the quarterback if they lose. So you know how T.J. Watt is getting all this money. Would you put some of the blame on T.J. Watt for how they losing? Because he is the guy that's getting paid the big bucks here. If he's getting paid the big bucks, he needs to turn this thing around.
If TJ is on the field at 100% and we're giving up, 200 rushing yards, 300 pass yards, and losing like 40, if we give up 30+ points, we're blaming TJ. Everyone knows TJ is the guy. Like if he's not on the field, we're losing 90% of the time. And we don't really have a fancy quarterback to even blame, but yeah, blame's on defense if we lose.
So how do you feel? How do you feel this team is going to end up with their record wise? Because they're 3-7 currently.
3-7. So we're gonna go 3-9. I think we go 7-10. That's pushed. I think 7-10 is our peak.
Damn. So you think y'all are going to go 4-3, 4-3 in the next 7 games? Y'all are going to turn it around.
Yeah, that's why I was saying I was pushing it because we play the Colts Monday night, which I don't see us winning that game. We play the Falcons. That is a game we can win. Then we play the Ravens.
It should be a game y'all should win. Any team can beat them.
We might be able to win. Raiders, we might be able to win, and then the Ravens again, and then our final game, which is the Browns. So there is 3 games in there we can win, which would be the Panthers, the Falcons, and the Raiders.
Yeah, so I see y'all winning the Panthers versus the Falcons. The Raiders going to be a tough game. Is it home or away for y'all?
It's home. It's at Steelers.
Okay, so I can see y'all winning that game as well. So those 3 games right there, y'all should be able to get.
It's not 3-4. That'll be our final record.
Yeah, I don't really. Those are probably the 3 games I do see y'all winning, and they're all like back to back, right?
So it's Colts, Falcons, Ravens, Panthers, Raiders, Ravens, Browns. So and in the next 3 weeks we should go 1-2. And then 2-2, and then 3-2, and then 3-3, and then 3-4.
3-4. So 6-11 season.
Yeah.
That should get y'all a top 10 pick, right?
I mean, I hope so. Which I don't even know what we should go after. Offensive coordinator. Wish we can draft one of them. Because I mean, we have the quarterback. Our line is all rookies, and like they're getting better every week. We have the running back. We have the wide receivers. I mean, our kicker, nobody takes the kicker in the first round. I mean, Cam Hayward is getting pretty old, so he could retire at any time. So maybe we take a defensive tackle or something. I don't know if there's any good college defensive tackles out there.
Oh, y'all gonna have to figure it out real soon because it's taking off.
We
from
have
y'all real
it figured
quick.
out. Because the first half of the season, it was just our defense was carrying us, and our offense was lucky to put 10. But this week, our offense moved the ball pretty easily. It's just our defense just couldn't cover Higgins.
So you honestly think it's the transition period between Big Ben and Kenny?
Yeah, because think about Kenny. I don't think Kenny is allowed to check out of anything. Like, whatever they play, he has to run it. Big Ben, it's like he had the freedom like most veteran quarterbacks. Like if he reads the defense, he's changing the play. He's audible and calling whatever he wants to call. I don't think Kenny has that right to do anything.
Do you think that's because of Mike Tomlin or Canada is telling him that?
I think it's both because Kenny is a very young quarterback, and I don't think they're trying to put too much on him since he is starting as a rookie. Like, so I think they're just trying to keep the workload off of him, save him.
All right. Well, y'all. So, would you tell your fans to start buying Super Bowl tickets for next year?
I don't know. No, probably not. I think we'll be a playoff team next year, but Super Bowl, that's a long shot.
So let's talk about the Bengals though. They turned that season around. I believe they started 0-2, and then ever since then they've
Look at
started
last
winning.
year. They have the same record what they did last year this time.
They
went on to the Super Bowl.
They started peaking around the right time, like how they did last year.
Yep.
And they went on that big run. Same with the Cowboys. They're literally the same exact record how they were last year, but it was the opposite. They started off 6-1, and they started tailing downward. They had like a mid-season, like a weird patch, and then Dak never really was the same after that Patriots injury. What was I gonna say? Injury, and now it's opposite. So Cowboys, they kind of had a couple losses. Now they're on the tail upward, and same with the Bengals. So Bengals Cowboys. No, I see it. Bengals. I definitely see the Dolphins coming out of the conference though.
Yeah, I actually do think the Dolphins are the best AFC team right now. I mean, the Chiefs are good, but like they lost their best receiver, and they still got Kelsey, but he's not really a receiver. But I mean, I'm liking the Dolphins. The Bills are good, but I'm liking the Dolphins.
The Jets. What about the Jets?
Well, I'm pretty sure the Jets' starting quarterback is going to get thrown out of the building. So Joe Flacco might be the new starter.
That was
next week.
That was very crazy that he didn't take any accountability on that game.
As a quarterback, you cannot say that defense is probably hating him right now. He's probably the most hated person in the building. Guarantee it.
That's just blasphemous how he just kind of shrugged it off. Like, you're only giving me 3 points.
Too.
Your defense held them to 3 points. All you need is 4 points.
They got 2 yards the entire second half. He was like, nah, wasn't on me.
They had negative team passing yards in the second half.
Like,
negative.
Was that him being cocky and be like, yeah, it was my fault? Or was that him like maybe throwing a shot at the play caller, saying maybe they called some bad plays?
Even if he does call bad plays, he was throwing bad throws out there, which missing his receivers wide open. And then I was watching that game. They switched it to the Patriots and the Jets game, and I saw the punt where he took it home. It was actually the first punt.
Pick too.
It was actually the first punt return touchdown of the NFL this season. So that was probably the best time to get the first touchdown and cap off the win. I know Don was pretty excited because he's a Patriots fan.
Don.
Well, we got to get him. We got to get him next week. That'll be a good week to get him on the show.
Yeah, we need some more Cowboy haters.
Because I believe on the Metapeach.com games of the week they're facing Vikings and Patriots. So that would be a good game to pick and have him on the next show to talk about that game.
I don't think the Patriots have any chance. Their offense is trash. They have a decent defense, but their offense is trash.
I don't know. They're kind of turning around ever so slowly at the right time as the Jets is falling down. They're probably going to end up getting the 7th seed out of the AFC for a wild card. But if we can get Don on here, we're going to try to work some magic and try to get Don on here. Hopefully his girlfriend isn't.
I was going to say, we're going to have to message the higher-ups there to get him on the show.
Yeah, we're going to have to message the higher-ups and the executives to get him back on the show. But before we move on to the next topic, we're going to move on to our Minute Peach sponsor. And, please use the promo code JD10 on everything to get 10% off your first store purchase. Minute Peach Framing Designs and Gift Shops is worldwide on their websites, www.minutepeach.com. That's www.minutepeach.com. They offer something for everyone in their gift store. They have so many gift ideas, including baby items, home decor, garage signs, gift for kids, candy, Nintendo items, Harry Potter, Sailor Moon, frames, bereavement items, gnomes, pet items, canvases, art-free walls, and more. They even stock items for every season, including Valentine's Day, Easter, Halloween, and Christmas. They even have gift ideas for Mother's Day and Father's Day. Shop www.minutepeach.com with promo code JJ10 for 10% off your entire store purchase. Support small business with Minutepeach. That's www.minapeach.com. You'll find something for everyone on your store list. The gift shop with somebody every for Minutepeach.com at promo code JJ10 and check out for 10% off your entire store purchase. Alright, that was just your Minutepeach.com framing designs and gift shops. Go use the promo code, get 10% off your first store purchase. As we move into the Minutepeach.com Week 12 Thanksgiving Games of the Week, we're going to start off with the Bills versus the Lions, which Shady already made his pick. He said that the Lions were going to come home with this win. That's kind of shocking there.
Yeah, that is maybe he didn't know who they were
Guys,
playing.
this is production of J&J Media. Yeah, I don't think he figured it out, but
He said the Lions. I remember that.
He had time to look at what that game was, and he came home with the Lions. I don't know what went through his thought process there, but what is your pick here for this game? All these games are on Thanksgiving this Thursday.
I mean, yeah, Bills. I mean, the Bills just traveled from there for last week's game. I mean, it might even be another home game. They might have more fans for the Bills this week.
Oh, I forgot about that. They literally just played in their stadium, so
Yeah.
It's like 2 home games back to back.
Basically.
It's not like that. It's like they never left. But yeah, you got the Bills. I see the Bills coming out of this easily. Lions, they always fight hard, but I see another heartbreaker for them coming out of this game. But we'll move into the next game, probably the game of the week. We do Cowboys versus the Giants, AKA the OBJ Bowl, Odell Beckham. So whoever wins this game is probably going to come home with him and have him as this next home for at least this season. I don't know about next season, but at least finishing this season off. But who's your pick for this clash?
It isn't the game of the week. The game of the week is the Monday night game. But well, we're gonna have to pick. We gotta have faith in my bet because I want to see you in a Daniel Jones jersey. So we're gonna have to go the Giants. I'm not gonna say a score because you never know. It could be. Well,
No.
actually,
Tell me the score. Yeah, tell me the score. Tell me the score.
So for the Giants to have a chance to win this, it's gonna have to be like a 21-18 game. Like if once the Cowboys get above 25, I don't think the Giants will be able to keep up unless they have a bunch of big plays. So it's gonna have to be a pretty low scoring game for the Giants to win. So hopefully they just feed Barkley the ball to run the clock, allow the Cowboys to maybe have 2 possessions each quarter, try to keep it a close game for the end.
All right. Hey, he's going with the Giants. He's following through with his bet. He didn't want to have a counter bet right there to kind of say, all right, I'm going to pick the Cowboys for the podcast, but I'll keep the bet this way. I'm surprised he didn't do that. But I'm going with the Cowboys here and follow through with my bet. That the Cowboys got to win and hold Saquon under 100 yards rushing, which I do see them doing. They just came off a big Vikings game. They shut.
So that's gonna be tough because Barkley gets like 30 carries a game. So that means all he has to do is like fall forward for 3 yards, and he's set.
Not if Micah Parsons beating him there right at the line of scrimmage. That's a dog right there.
It's a Penn State rivalry, so you know Barkley's gonna bring his A game, and you know Parsons is gonna bring his A game. So should be a good battle in the trenches.
I definitely see Parsons come home with this one. That'll be a dog fight for sure, but nothing's gonna stop my dog from winning this game. All right, so, but even do you see a loser getting OBJ? Like, you think Odell's just gonna go straight to the winner?
No. So let's say the Giants don't get embarrassed, and it is like a a 31-28 game, close game. But the Giants showing they can keep up the Cowboys is more impressive than the Cowboys barely beating the Giants, because the Giants literally have no offensive receivers. They have nothing. They have Barkley. They have I don't even know their tight ends anymore. They have nothing in terms of receivers. So OBJ might view that as, hey, if I go there, they might be even better now. So if it's a close
But what
game,
about how the Cowboys just came off a huge win? Wouldn't you think that turned his mind around? Be like, wow, yeah, I know if they did lose in this scenario versus the Giants, but they had this major game versus the Vikings, wouldn't that be like, okay, maybe I could go to the Cowboys or see myself going to the Cowboys?
I mean,
Or
I
is it
don't.
more likely to go to the Giants in that situation?
If it's a close game, I think he goes to the Giants. I mean, he used to play for the Giants. He's already good friends with Barkley, who went to his I don't know his something wedding or whatever. So they're close friends. I mean, Odell might have already predetermined who he's going to. It might already be the Cowboys already. Has the Cowboys
But
offered
if
him
he's
anything? Like, if
that
Odell wants to go to the Cowboys, are the Cowboys
they
gonna
just
take him?
they just been in the talks recently, but I feel like this is the true test is the winner of this game. But I do see I'm saying if the Cowboys do lose, I could still see them getting Odell based off of what we did last week. I think he knows that if a Cowboys bring in their 100% versus the Giants bring in their 100%, all it takes is to have a good stretch in the playoffs to go for a Super Bowl ring chase. And that's what he's going for is ring chasing. Do you think he would rather go with the Giants that won the game, but not the best when they're at 100%?
I mean, if he's chasing a ring, he doesn't care about the atmosphere of the building or whatever. Like, I would just choose the Cowboys now because I don't see the Giants making the Super Bowl. I mean, without Odell.
Yeah, do you
If you
see it
add
like a
Odell,
safe? Do you see it a safe bet going to the Cowboys for Odell?
it's way safer for Odell to go to Cowboys because I mean the Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb. They already have good O line, decent quarterback, good running back. So it's way safer for him to go to somewhere that's already built and ready to go to the Super Bowl than a team that has absolutely nothing but Barkley.
Like what he did with the Rams last year. Rams were
Basically, yeah.
stacked.
Yeah, they
Uh,
were stacked,
they were
but they
stacked,
still found a way to make Odell their star receiver, even with Coop.
and they would have had what was his name? Wood.
Yeah, they have Wood,
And
but
then he got
he
hurt
got sent to. Yeah, and he wouldn't. Yeah, he got hurt
as soon as he signed.
before yeah, as soon as he got hurt. But he's in Tennessee now, and he's playing decent for Tennessee.
Yeah, but this is a huge. I on like the atmosphere, Thanksgiving. It was what's at stake for this game. I think it has to be the game of the week, but how big it is because in addition, I know I keep telling you this. Cowboys don't really need Odell, but to have him to lean on
I don't
as
like how it's game
a
of the
great.
week.
It's a what?
Yeah, I don't like how you're saying it's game of the week. Yeah, it's probably the most important game of the week, but I don't think it's gonna be the best game. Like, I think Sportsbook has the Cowboys as a 11-point favorite. Like, it could be pretty lopsided like the Vikings game. So it might not be the best game to watch, but it's the more meaningful game, I guess, of the
But
week.
more, yeah, okay, yeah. We'll say that. We'll agree on that. The most meaningful game of the week. Okay, so all right, we'll move on from that topic and move on to the last game of the Thanksgiving MinutePeach.com games of the week. We have the Patriots versus the Vikings. Who do you see home taking that game?
Where's it at? Well, oh, never mind. Right, no, it's at the Patriots. I remember Pat McAfee show. So a Patriots diehard fan was saying their only chance of winning this is if it's a crazy weather event. So the Vikings are pretty heavily favored, but if there's any kind of random weather in New England, like usually happens for big games, they might pull off an upset. But I'm still going Vikings.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. If the weather isn't too crazy, I see the Vikings taking it. But if it's some raining, cold, foggy, the Patriots probably have the upper hand on that game. Vikings, but my main pick is I'm going to see the home Vikings, and that is our MinutPeach.com, Week 12, Thanksgiving Games of the Week. And that is wrapping up our show. Do we have any last thoughts and opinions about how this next week of NFL is going to happen?
Well, the Monday night game, which is my game of the week, where everyone's going to be watching the Steelers and the Colts. The Steelers are going to lose. We're going to go with the Colts, but that's going to be the best looking game. I think the Steelers are 2.5-point underdogs, which isn't that crazy, which they can still get blown out because, I mean, look at the Vikings. They're only 1.5-point underdogs, and they lost by 40. So, you never know.
Let's not forget about, we'll have an honorable mention pick. We have the Packers versus the Eagles. That's, I mean,
where's
that's
the game at?
Let me
Eagles?
see real quick.
I'm guessing you said Eagles second, so it'd probably be at
I'll have
Eagles.
to find out real quick. Breaking news, though, as we see right now, the top 6 for the college football playoff rankings just came out, and the top 4 did not change. It's Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, but 5th place is LSU, 6th place is USC. That's kind of shocking right there. They put a 2-loss LSU team over SC.
Maybe LSU just is playing more ranked teams, but I do know USC has a very tough schedule. So if they win out, I do see them making the playoffs over Ohio State or Michigan. Like whoever's the loser of that game, I think USC makes the playoffs.
Who do you see taking home the game?
The game?
The game.
You're talking about Michigan?
Yep, that game.
Where's the game at? Hold on, I gotta look this up.
Yeah, I gotta look it up as well. While you do that, I'll look up the Eagles and the.
All right, so it's at Ohio State, so that's a big advantage. Like it's really tough to win because I remember Penn State went there in like their year when they were ranked like number 1, and they got like a 28-0 halftime lead, and they still lost that game. So I'm gonna go Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ohio State on there. That's kind of the safe.
I think most people are picking Ohio State, so all the money's on Ohio State to win this.
Yeah, that's pretty much a safe bet to go with Ohio State because they're at home. That environment's pretty crazy out there, but yeah, Ohio State and winners this probably knocks off, and TCU will probably move up at 3.
Right, so there is a way Michigan still, like, let's say it is a close game, like both teams show like the committee like they're strong. It's a good defense, doesn't allow anything, and the offense it's a good close game. They only lose by a possession or so, like 3 points. There is a way they both make it in, like a 1-loss team getting in the playoffs over maybe a 2-loss, LSU or I'm guessing Tennessee's out. Like I don't think they have any chance anymore.
No, they're out. If I could see the rankings, I'm gonna pull up the. All I seen is the top 6 currently.
Because if TCU loses at all, they're out. Which I don't know who they would play in their championship game. Which that's another thing. Like, what if Ohio State loses in their Big Ten championship game? Like, who are they gonna pick? Michigan or Ohio State?
Do you see TCU getting knocked out of the top 4 if they win out? They'll go undefeated. They win their bowl game, and still get knocked out.
It's not the bowl game. They would have to win. I don't know what their championship game is, but yeah, if they win out, they're in easily. Their only threat is USC winning out, which realistically, like, there's gonna be a loser in the top 4 this week. So I do. If TCU wins out, they're gonna be number 3. And then USC will be probably number 4 because USC plays 2 more ranked teams. And if they win out, like, you got to let them in the playoffs.
And speaking of LSU, I think they are in the lead of the SEC, like, in their division. They're in the lead. So if they capitalize this win versus Texas A&M, I believe it's going to be Georgia versus LSU.
Yeah, but the problem is like, Texas A&M isn't ranked, not a good team. And then they play Georgia. Like, all right, if they beat Georgia, they deserve to be in. But the odds of them beating Georgia, like, that's a tough, like, last game to have versus Georgia.
But who makes it if LSU wins against Georgia? Is Georgia getting out from number 1, or they're keeping both those teams in?
I think they have
and
both
booting
teams in.
and booting TCU out.
if TCU wins out, I think they're in. I think they boot out USC.
No matter if
It
there's
all depends
shockers and stuff like that.
because I don't. Do you watch a lot of TCU? Like, is their strength of like? Did they play a lot of ranked teams this year?
Yeah, they've been playing a lot of ranked teams. That's why they're up to number 4
Uh,
currently. They faced
I'm
them very
looking.
early in
They
the
played
season.
Kansas State. West Virginia was a good team. Texas.
But
So yeah,
they are like I think the past like 6 of the 7 games they've been behind late in the game and they somehow pull it off.
I think TCU is pretty safe. If they win out, I think they're very safe. Because USC didn't really play anyone. I know their schedule, they're ending really tough, but at the beginning of the season, like they're not really playing anyone. So they just have to win out, and they're in automatically. And then if Georgia does lose, then TCU would just be number 3, and then LSU would be number 4, and then Michigan would be number 5 if Michigan loses.
They keep would they move Georgia to number 2 and Ohio State number 1?
No, it. All right, so if Ohio State blows out Michigan and then Georgia loses by a lot to LSU, then yeah, they'd move. But if LSU only wins by a score and then the Michigan Ohio State game is pretty close, I think they keep Georgia number 1 and Ohio State number 2.
All right. Well, that's our. Well, we rarely talk college football, but this is the time to start talking about college football.
Which it does matter though, because the number 1 team places number 4 and then 2 versus number 3. So I'd
Yeah.
rather face. I don't know who's the matchup because who would be number 4? Did I say it would be LSU, right?
and then it would be Georgia.
No,
It would be a back-to-back game.
No, that's tough because if LSU beats Georgia, number 1 team, like they might put them over TCU. TCU would be number 4 maybe, and then LSU number 3. So it'd be Ohio State versus LSU, and then it would be Georgia versus TCU.
I think they'll
I
try their
that's
best.
likely.
I think the committee will try their best like last year to avoid having a back-to-back game because with Alabama and Georgia they face each other in an SEC championship game, and Georgia should have been in second and Alabama would have been in third, so they would have faced each other in the faced each other in the first round, but they avoided it.
So Georgia versus TCU is a more likely matchup for the first game, and then Ohio State versus LSU.
I'd see that happening because I think the committee would try to avoid that having a back-to-back game, just like how last year, almost perfectly last year.
My prediction is Georgia versus Ohio State for the championship. That's just my I do think TCU can maybe pull it off, but like that's gonna be a tough task against Georgia. Who they almost lost to some no-name team last week. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Cinderella story if they get to the championship game. But I'll take it as long as they get in the playoffs. That's fine with me. But we're wrapping up this show, and yeah, we had a good talk, very good talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Finally, yeah. So did you get a little more respect about the Cowboys this past weekend?
I mean, I've always respected their players. I just don't respect them as a team because I mean they're the Cowboys. I mean, I think they're overrated every year. Like they could be 1-15, and then they'd be like, "Oh, next year's our year. We're going Super Bowl next year," and then they go on to be 0-17 again, and then next year. Like, I think if their fan base was a little more humble, I think they would be.
But Dak has never had a losing record as starting quarterback.
I mean, are we counting the games he's missed?
No, we're talking about as him as a quarterback for the whole season. But minus 2020 because he didn't finish out that season.
Okay, I mean, I'm sure he's never ever like. All right, so would you? I don't know.
Make it quick.
You either go 17-0 and lose the first game is like I would be okay if you went 17-0 and then lost the first game of the playoffs, then go 13-5 and then lose the first game of the playoffs. Like that's kind of worse, which is what the Cowboys have done lately. Is they always lose in the playoffs when they have good teams.
I feel more better about this year than last year because last year we weren't peaking at the right time versus this year we're kind of on the uphill towards the playoffs.
I mean,
so I
you're
know
1-1 the last 2 weeks. I don't know if you're really peaking in the right direction.
No. I'm saying with how things are going. Versus compare how last year things were going, it was the complete opposite. We were going downhill versus we're going uphill now. But I'd rather be a 12-5 team finishing second place in our division this year than a 12-5 team winning a division last year, because I feel more confident on this. If we finish 12-5, I'll feel more confident with this team going on a deeper playoff run than last year's. That's just my opinion.
Well,
Because I feel our defense is actually more better than last year, and our last year defense is pretty good.
I feel like most analysts have your Cowboys at probably like anywhere between the number 3 to number 17 in the NFL right now. But if you guys get Odell, I think most people are going to have the Cowboys top 2 easily in the NFL.
Yeah, this game would be a true test of how the rest of the season is going to go. Because if they go out and do what they did with the Vikings and do it against the Giants, it'll be a major statement.
It won't determine the season, because you can still win games without Odell. It just, if you have Odell, like, it just makes it that much easier.
But I'm saying if we could did what we did against the Giants in back-to-back weeks versus what we did against the Vikings last week, that'll be a major threat to the rest of the league to show that this team is out there to go headhunt, even without Odell. And if they do get Odell, that's even a more confidence boost for the rest of the season. But we'll figure. I'm pretty sure we'll get a great word next show. I don't know if they'll sign him by then, but it'll be close. It'll definitely be close, and we'll figure it out next episode.
Hopefully, he does a 360 and he signs with like Jacksonville or something.
Yeah, signs with the Lions.
Just max deal. We're just going to an 0-16 team. 4 years, $380 million guaranteed.
Yeah. All right. So we appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll be back next week. Thank you. Hey guys, this is a production of the J&J Media, brought to you by Minute Peach Framing Designs and Gift Shops.